Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored Never Boring. If you follow my channel, then you may be aware that I have been on and off collecting / playing the Transformers trading card game from Hasbro. One of the things I have been doing is occasionally buying packs in the vain hope of collecting a set of the Dinobots and a set of the Insecticons, because they're my favourite characters. If you've watched my previous videos about the Transformers trading card game, you'll know that I have not been having a great deal of success. I wasn't planning on getting too heavily involved in the game. I wasn't too worried about having a complete set, but I did want specific cards. And unfortunately, buying singles for this game is quite expensive because of the way the booster packs work out. You only get one character per pack, which means even common characters can still realize relatively high sums on eBay, although you can find sellers that have cards for less. And yeah, it can get very expensive trying to collect specific characters because you're paying £3.50 a pack, or I'm paying £3.50 a pack. I think the actual retail price per pack is $3.99, but I've been getting them for $3.50. But when you only get one character per pack, and you're very quickly, multiplying up £3.50 per time, you're spending a lot of money. However, I was very lucky the other day to find someone on eBay who was selling a job lot of cards. They were selling common, uncommon, and rare battle cards and a selection of common and uncommon character cards. I put in an offer, which the seller kindly accepted, and I happened to have a voucher from eBay for a discount as well. So I ended up actually getting well over 100 cards for £35, which may seem like a pretty large sum of money, but when you think that's only 10 booster packs, which means a maximum of 10 characters, I think I did okay. Now, a lot of the cards I already had, but I got some cool new ones. I've already sorted through what came in and sifted out the ones I already had and the ones I don't have. And I'm just going to take a quick look at what I got. So this could well be my last video on actually collecting the Transformers trading card game Wave 1. Having looked at Wave 2, I'm not sure I'm keen on getting involved in that and the combiner mechanism that they've got. The new cards, some of them are combiner cards. They sort of split in the middle and you fold them one way and then the other way, and then you unfold them out and you combine them with 4 other cards to make the big combined robots. I'm not sure I want to get into that, but I'm happy with my Wave 1. So what is the sum total of having purchased this pack of cards on eBay? First of all, I got a whole bunch more common cards. I'm not going to go through all the common cards because we've seen them all before in previous videos. Needless to say, I now have a huge stack of common cards. I have 6 of most, because what I was doing is I was basically putting a limit of 6 on any card that I had, so that I can, because you can have 3 cards in a deck basically. So by having 6, I've got enough that if I put together 2 decks to play against each other, then I've got 6 cards available to build from of any one type. So for almost all common cards, I now have 6. There are a few exceptions. I think Force Field and Brainstorm seem to be the ones that I was missing out on. But yeah, so that was good. I also have one of every uncommon battle card. And again, this wasn't all the ones that I bought. I've sifted them through and sorted out the ones that I needed to add to my collection. I have not got 6 of every uncommon card. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with it. And again, I think I've previously shown you almost all of the uncommon cards. I think there were about 6 that I still needed to get, which I now have. So I'm just going to very quickly show you what I've got here. So we have emergency maintenance, repair 1 damage from one of your characters. If you have more stars of characters in your knocked out area than you have on the battlefield, repair 2 more damage. That's a really cool card. I'm planning on running Insecticons. That's what I want to run. And things that heal are quite useful for Insecticons. They're a little bit squishy at times, and some of the Insecticons do cool things with damage tokens and things like that. One of them kind of get stronger as they take damage, but then obviously when they get to a certain point, you want to be able to make sure they don't die, so you want to take a bit of damage back off again to keep them back in the fight. So things like that are cool. So I've got a couple of those in there. This card, Equipment Enthusiast, I love. It says it's an action, and you draw a card for each of your upgrades. So if you're playing upgrade heavy deck, you can really restock your hand. And if you've got a character that gets an attack or defense boost based on the number of cards in your hand, that's very, very useful. So there's a whole bunch of those. Grenade launcher. Grenade launcher is cool and not cool, I guess. It gives you +4 attack, but you only get to use it once when you're attacking. But of course, as long as you're not attacking, it's a weapon upgrade on your character card, which may trigger into other abilities and things like that relate to having an upgrade on the character. And it also is an orange flip when it comes to battle. I'm not sure about a one-use upgrade like that. I think it can be good when you need to just do a full swing at someone and ruin their day, wreck their day. But I don't know. Not sure about that. Here's Jaws of Steel, which I guess is a must if you're running Dinobots. It's a Dinobot specific card, and it gives the upgraded unit bold 2, so they can flip 2 more battle cards when they're attacking. Dinobots already hit quite hard, so that's pretty cool. So good to have a bunch of those. Multi-mission gear. There's 2 cards like this. There's multi-mission gear and there is multi-tool. And I really like these cards. These are specialist cards. I think everybody should take a specialist in their team. So you've got here the multi-tool, which is an upgrade weapon. It says when you put this on a specialist, you may play an upgrade. So this is really cool. You can do a nice little combo here, because then you've got multi-mission gear, which says when you put this on a specialist, you may play an action. One is a weapon, one is an armor. When you upgrade a character, you can upgrade 1 weapon, 1 armor, 1 utility slot, unless you're Megatron, in which case you can go weapon heavy. But it's a nice little combo. So if you can play multi-tool on a specialist, they get their weapon, they get their +1 attack, and also then lets you play an upgrade. You can then play this upgrade. It says when you put this on a specialist, you may play an action. So you can go upgrade, upgrade, action. And if you then play a card that says things like action, play additional actions, you could potentially be doing 5 or 6 card combos, which is quite cool. So I like those a lot, and I think those are going to get a lot of use for me. I just see it as a nice little combo. This is a straight up plasma burst, do 2 damage to an enemy. It's an action. It's just a one-off chip away at someone. It can be useful if someone's on the ropes. It's nice to be able to just go, right, I'm going to do 2 damage on an enemy. Of course, they don't you don't get to go into the combat system of attacking and defending. So it's just straight up 2 damage. Take them down. Power sword, put on melee units to get bold 3. Very powerful. And I got a bunch of those. Ramming speed, scrap an enemy upgrade. Always useful, I think, to be able to take out people's upgrades. Upgrades are a big part of the strategy of this game. A lot of character abilities key into having upgrades, a lot of actions and things like that benefit from having upgrades, as well as obviously, of course, upgrades increase your stats and things anyway. So taking those away is never good for your opponent. We have a rapid ascent. When you put this on a ranged character, your opponent chooses a card from their hand and scraps it. Again, it's also giving you a bonus to defense. It's an attack card. It's a nice all-round card, giving you a stat boost, giving you abilities to take out cards from your opponent. The only problem being, of course, your opponent is choosing the card, so it doesn't give you ultimate control over what they're losing. But losing a card is never good, really. Strafing run. I love this. Do 1 damage to each enemy. That's just really good. It's just a really nice way, especially if you're against someone who's running a weenie deck. If they've got lots of smaller characters out. The ability to do damage across the board, always fun. We've got a bunch of those. Turbo boosters, you can put it on cars, and when you put it on a car, you untap that character. It's nice to have the ability to untap and get back into the action, and of course it gives you an upgrade anyway. So we've got a couple of those. Treasure Hunt. This is a fantastic card. Really like this card a lot. I'm not sure how many of them I actually got in the end. I think I've got 3. But you scrap the top 4 cards of your deck and put all the upgrades that are scrapped into your hand, which is amazing. If you're playing upgrade heavy deck, which I feel that with Insecticons, that's pretty much upgrade heavy is the way to go. Yeah, nice card. Armed Hovercraft. When you put this on a ranged character, do 1 damage to each enemy. This is really good because it's giving you if you put it on a ranged unit, obviously, it's giving you the ability of strafing run, that action we saw earlier, but it's also giving you a permanent +1 stat boost as well on your attack, like that. And there's a couple of those. Aerial Recon. You can only put it on planes, and when the upgraded character attacks or defends, you can look at the top card of your deck, and you may scrap it. This is really useful because obviously if you're really looking to do high damage, you kind of want to make sure you're getting your orange flips. If you flip over your top card and it's a blue or whatever, you can scrap it, and just make sure that you're getting the cards you want when you're attacking or defending, I should say. Backup plan, scrap your hand, draw 3 cards. Can be useful. There are just some certain times when you've got a handful of clag. I feel it doesn't really happen all that much in this game, that you end up with a hand of cards that you just can't do anything with. I always feel like I've not played the game huge amounts. I'm not an expert or anything, but when I have played, I've never really felt that I'm struggling for options. You may not always have, obviously, the optimal option for any given situation, but I always feel like I have things that I can do. I feel the game is quite well structured in that way that I always feel like I've got something going on. So I've got a couple of those. Blast Shield. And look, there's got a little Insecticon Bug Bomb on it. This is a defense card. It's an armor, but you scrap it after you use it. It's good. It's giving you +2 defense, which is great. But again, it's a one-use thing. And here we have the Bug Bomb itself. If you're running Insecticons, you want to run Bug Bombs. They key into the fact that Insecticons are sneaky, and also it keys into the fact that you're probably going to lose some Insecticons because they don't have super high hit points. They don't have super high armor. But you put it on Insecticons only, and when the upgraded character is knocked out, you draw a card, scrap an enemy upgrade, and your opponents choose a card from their hand and scraps it. That is just a cheeky little, screw you too, mate, when someone kills one of your characters. It gives you an extra card in hand, they lose a card from their hand, and also they lose an upgrade from an enemy, from one of their characters. That's great. I think if you're running Insecticons, I would run with 3 of those, and that is as many as you can take. Collateral damage. Each player chooses a weapon on one of their characters and scraps it. Each player chooses a card in their hand and scraps it. Crazy. But that can really, if someone's got something really powerful going on, you can sort them out. Computer sabotage. Your opponent chooses 3 cards from their hand and scraps the rest. I like this. It's good if you've got an opponent who's playing a card draw deck and they've got loads of cards. It's just a good way of dragging them down and leveling the playing field. It's a bit of a shame that they still get to choose which 3 cards to keep because they're going to keep their best stuff. But if they're running away in terms of having lots of options, take their options away. Crushing Treads. You can only put it on tanks. The upgraded character has pierce equal to its defense. I'm pretty sure the Demolisher character card has basically that same ability all the time, or something very similar. Or it might be that his attack is equal to his armor. Either way, Debilitating Crystal. I've got a whole bunch of these. I think this is the only uncommon, or one of the only uncommon cards that I've got 6 of. Ramming Speed I've definitely got 6 of, and this one I've definitely got 6 of. Oh, and I think Aerial Recon I have as well. It's a good card though. When the upgraded character attacks, return one of the defending character's upgrades to its owner's hand. It's not a one use or anything, it's staying on your character, and it's just a good way to kind of eat through opponents' upgrades. Unfortunately, they don't lose them, they go back into the hand, they can come back out, but it also, obviously that affects it for that attack as well, so you can, if you're in a situation where you can attack someone who's got like a high armor upgrade, you can actually bypass that upgrade. There's a bunch of those. Disarm, return all upgrades on a character to their owner's hand. It's kind of like, and this is an action, it's just a good way to, if someone's really leveled up Megatron or whatever, and he's got 3 weapons and he's stomping all over the place, tell him to shut up and sit down. That's cool. Disruption, look at your opponent's hand and scrap an upgrade from it. I like this one because you get to pick. The downside, of course, being if they don't have an upgrade in their deck, then you've wasted an action. But that in itself gives you information, because you're still, it's not a complete waste, because you're getting to see their hand. You're going to know what they're going to do. It's just a good card. Looking at your opponent's hand and having the option to take something away if there's an upgrade in it is super good, super powerful, and yeah, I'd probably want to run a bunch of those. Disruptive Entrance, look at your opponent's hand and scrap an action from it. It's the opposite of that, isn't it? It's an action rather than an upgrade. But yeah, it's nice to look at your opponent's cards. It really can help you plan your strategy. Anyway, that's going through the uncommon cards, and I'm afraid this is already getting a long video, because we're a good 17 minutes in, I guess. Here we have the rare cards. Now, I didn't get a huge number of rare cards. There are still at least 10 rare cards that I don't have, and most of the rare cards I do have, I only have 1 or 2 of. But like I said, I wasn't overly worried about getting a complete set of these cards, as long as I had enough to play with. Null Ray of Starscream is a cool card. It says when this is on Starscream, he has bold 2. So you can put it on anyone, but they just get the benefit of the +1 attack. But if you put it on Starscream, he gets bold 2. And so that's got to be worth doing. Starscream, if you're playing Starscream, he's a good chunk of your change when it comes to building your army, because I think he's either 10 or 11 points, depending on which version you buy of him, and you can only have 25 points total. So you're probably only going to have 3 characters total if you're running Starscream. So it's nice to have some cards that are specifically going to bolster him up, but which you can also use to, work on other people as well. And then we've got the Fusion Cannon of Megatron. While this is on Megatron, he has PS3, which is very good, because Megatron is already a kick-ass dude. And again, you can use it on other people, but they just don't get the extra additional benefit. So, and again, if you're running Megatron can be up to 13 points of your team. So it's good to have cards that are specifically going to key into him. Combat Training. This is a great card. While this upgraded character has a weapon, it has bold 1. While the upgraded character has armor, it has tough 1. That's just really good. It's a utility card that gives you additional utility out of both of your weapon and your armor. So if you've got a character that you're really upgrading heavily, I would suggest taking some combat training. Matrix of Leadership. I put it on Autobots only, and while it's on a leader, each of your other characters has +1 attack and PS1. Really great card if you're running a leader. I'm not sure why you wouldn't consider having that in your deck if you're running a leader, an Autobot leader, obviously. Cybertronian Bow. When the upgraded character attacks and you flip an equal number of orange and blue, each of those blue adds to its attack. Now, you get +1 attack as standard. I don't really like this card. I think it's too situational. I mean, there are ways to stack your deck so you get the colours you want coming out. But I just think a lot of the time you're probably not going to get that extra ability. If you do get that extra ability, it's awesome. If you've managed to stack the deck to get an equal number of those, then you can be very proud of yourself. But I think a lot of the time it's going to be down to the hands of fate, really. and yeah, I'm just not sure it's worth it. I think there are better weapon upgrades. Personally, salvage for parts. Scrap all upgrades. Repair 1 damage from each character for each upgrade scrapped from it. That can be awesome. It can be awesome, but I think you'd probably have to be on the ropes, I think, to want to do that. Heroism. If any of your other characters would take attack damage, instead the upgraded character takes that damage. This is good if you've got a character that can redistribute damage back out. There are certain characters that say when you flip them or whatever, or when you attack with them, take damage tokens off of them and put them on an enemy unit. So upgrade them with this utility. They take the damage, and that damage then becomes an offensive weapon. Nice card. Like it a lot. The bigger they are, one of your characters gets +2 attack until the end of the turn. While it's attacking an enemy this turn that has more stars than it has, it gets Pierce 4. So yes, basically a giant killer card, which is good. Again, if you're playing a deck of smaller characters and you come up against like Megatron or whatever, you can basically assassinate him. Very good. Ion Blaster of Optimus Prime. You can only put it on Optimus Prime. +2 attack, +1 defense. If you're running Optimus Prime, you want this card in your deck. You just do. And I've got a couple of those. Got 3. And then Agility of Bumblebee. Again, if you're running Bumblebee, I don't see why you wouldn't want this in your deck. When it's on Bumblebee and he attacks, you draw a card, which is great. He gets +1 attack anyway. And yeah, just a nice way of getting an extra card whenever he does something. Useful. And there's 4 of those. And there we are, back to the null rare Starscream. So those are all the new cards I had. I already had a few rare cards, but that's it for my rare cards. And finally, this is the bit we've all been waiting for, isn't it? I'm going to have to put a timestamp in the description below so that people who are only interested in characters can cut to the chase. Because we have, in total, I got about 20 new characters, but I had a lot of doubles that I already had. So I think it's 11 new characters. And let's start with the really exciting stuff for me. I got Barrage. I got another Insecticon. Barrage is a very, very cool character. While he's attacking a damaged enemy, he has Bold 2. He is merciless. He is, if you've got injured enemies on the field, send this guy out to deal with them. His alt mode. When you flip to this mode, one of your characters gets Pierce 2 until the end of the turn. Now, that's really good if you've got another character that is about to attack and you want to sort of guarantee some damage. Just a cool card and a cool piece of art. So very happy to have him in my collection. Even more happy, I also have Ransack, the Insecticon Commando. Ransack is a brilliant character because this character's attack is equal to the number of damage counters on him. Now, he only has 8 hit points, so there is a limit to how far you can go with this. But if you've got some of those cards that allow you to put damage onto this guy, and then you've got some of those healing cards, you can play cards to put the damage onto him, attack with him, and then heal him back up again. It's very nice. It's very, very good. You kind of want to upgrade him to give him make sure he's sort of well defensible, so that he's not gonna take too much damage when you don't want him to. And this is really good. When you flip to this mode, move 2 damage counters from another character to this one. So he's taking the damage off. He's basically healing other people while taking the damage himself. And then when you flip back over and attack, he's converting that damage into damage output. Great card. It's a little bit risky. Obviously, there's a very with only 8 hit points, there is a risk. But he's got a decent defense, and if you give him a little bit more, and that's the way to go with him. Very, very cool. So those are the 2 new Insecticons I got. I still don't have Chop Shop, and I still don't have Scrapnel. Scrapnel is a rare card, and I've not seen it for less than 40 quid, and I'm not paying 40 quid for a card, so I'm kind of resigned to the fact I'm never going to have Scrapnel. But I probably will just buy Chop Shop just to complete the set of grunts for the Insecticon team. Next. This is a card that wasn't on my list of cards I really wanted. Flame War, the veteran Decepticon. It wasn't one that I sort of looked at and went, oh, I love Flame War. I want to make sure I get the Flame War character card. However, in terms of her abilities and actions and things like that, she's really, really cool, and she works well with Insecticons. She's a specialist, and while she's on this side up, each of your characters has tough 1. So, flipping extra cards when you're defending, which is great if you've got Ransack on your team and you want to make sure he doesn't get squished. And in fact, most of the Insecticons, relatively low damage, relatively low hit points, relatively low armor. It's good to have a character on your team that can lend a bit of toughness support. And then when she flips over, when you flip to this mode, each of your characters gets bold. So she can also help out in driving an attack run. But best of all, she's only 5 stars. There are very few characters that are only 5 stars. And she's a little bit squishy, but I think for 5 stars, that's a really good support card, really good support character. And I can see myself running her in conjunction with Insecticons and possibly a few other decks, where there's always situations where you've got a couple of powerful characters, you've got like 2 10-pointers or whatever, you want a 5-pointer to fill out your roster. This is your go-to card. It's just a great support card that does really good things. Here we have Starscream. This is the common Starscream. There are 2 versions of him. This is the scheming second in command. He has tough 1, so you flip 1 more battle card when defending. Lots of hit points, good attack. Not great defense, but obviously tough 1 is helping with that. On the flip side, he gets bold 1, so it's 5-14-1 and bold for extra attack damage. He's a leader, he's a plane, he's 10 stars, so he's taking up a good chunk of your change, but really good. And stick some null rays on him. Well, a null ray on him. So that's cool. But I also got the uncommon version of Starscream, the Air Commander. He has bold 2, so he flips 2 cards when attacking. And on his reverse side, it says when you flip to this mode, do damage to an enemy equal to the number of other planes you have. This is a cool ability, but it has its limitations. Obviously, Starscream, this version of him, is 11 stars. Now, looking at the other planes that are available, if you want to fill up a 25-point team, I believe there's only a combination of 2 planes that allow it. I think you need to have Thundercracker and Skywarp, because those 2, once added to 11 for Starscream, fills out a 25-point team. I don't think there are any other Wave 1 planes that will work in that combination. You'd only end up with 1 other plane. So if you want to get the maximum utility from this card, I think you have... Now, again, I'm not an expert, don't quote me on this, but from what I can tell, you need to have Skywarp and Thundercracker. And then you're doing 2 damage when you flip to this mode, which is cool. Here's another plane. Ramjet, the Sky Smasher. I believe one of the first Transformers toys I ever had was Ramjet. He has no abilities to speak of, but he's just a bruiser. 4-14-2, 7-14-0. So yeah, he's not he loses all his defense capabilities, but 7 attack. Stick a couple of upgrades on him, and he's basically just a nuclear warhead. Very cool. Deadlock. You'll notice I got a lot of Decepticons, which is very good because I was really struggling with getting Decepticons when I was opening booster packs. I had hardly any Decepticons and loads of Autobots. This is Deadlock, the Bounty Hunter. Good attack, decent hit points. No ability, but on the reverse, when you flip to this mode, choose an enemy. If it's knocked out this turn, draw 2 cards. That's really good. If you know you're gonna bring the pain on someone, if you're pretty confident someone's gonna die, flip this guy and set yourself up for getting some extra cards. It's a nice card. Not one of my favourite characters though. Probably won't be running him, because I am one of those people that will predominantly run characters that I like rather than characters that are necessarily the best utility. And then this is my last Decepticon, and I'm very happy to report I have Megatron. This is only the common version of Megatron. Like I said, I didn't get any rare cards from this set. I only got commons and uncommons. But yes, I didn't have a Megatron, so now I do. He is a bruiser. He's got PS3. And on the reverse, it says when you flip to this mode, you may scrap a card from your hand. If you do, scrap an enemy upgrade. For the cost of a card from your hand, to take off something that is really causing you problems from one of your opponents, if your opponent's got an upgrade that's really causing you grief, that's great. Really good. So those are all my Decepticons. I also got a few new Autobots. We'll do the most exciting one last. I got Optimus Prime. This is the common Optimus Prime. Obviously, there was an Optimus Prime in the starter set, which I have as well, so I don't have... I think there's at least 2 other versions of Optimus Prime. There's definitely a rare version. I think there's an uncommon version as well. But this is the Freedom Fighter. He has Bold 2. He's just brutally powerful. But you're paying 12 stars for him. And in his reverse mode, he's still brutally powerful, but when you flip this mode, you can repair 1 damage from each of your Autobots. So he's just doing massive damage output and healing, which is awesome. Just a really good card. And it's good that he's got that healing ability, because taking up 12 star slots, you're going to have a couple of, going to either have one other super powerful character with him, or you're going to have a couple of weenies. So it's a good way to keep those smaller fighters fighting. And it's a cool piece of artwork. Then we have Jetfire. I had the big Jetfire toy when I was little, and it was my favourite. It was my pride and joy. So I'm glad that I've got a Jetfire. When you flip to this mode, put an armour or utility from your scrap pile onto this character. That's amazing. That's just... you can upgrade this guy so quickly as long as you've got the relative the cards in your scrap pile. Just really good, and obviously he's super powerful. In his reverse mode, he has Bold 1, and again he's still strong. He's strong, so that's cool. I like that. I like that card. But this is my favourite card from the set for obvious reasons. It's Dinobot Slug. Yay, the hot-headed warrior. He's just a big bruiser. No actions at all. He's just a fighter. You're looking at 6-0 on his bot mode, and that flips to 3-3 in this dinosaur mode. So just a good all-round stocky fighter. Give him some upgrades. And he's gonna stick around, and he's gonna cause grief. But that is it. That's my entire set. So what am I missing? Like I said, I would like to get Chop Shop, because that will complete my set of Insecticons with the exception of Scrapnel. I am still missing some Dinobots. I only have Swoop and Slug. So obviously I still need Sludge and Snarl and Grimlock. Again, Grimlock is a rare card, and I cannot find him anywhere for less than £40, and I refuse to pay it. So I've kind of resigned myself to the fact that I'm not going to have my favourite character ever. But I will pick up Sludge and Snarl, so that I've got the other 4 Dinobots. So I'm going to pick up Chop Shop, Sludge, Snarl, and I don't have Thundercracker. And as I was mentioned earlier, I think you need Thundercracker and Skywarp to make a good team with one of the versions of Starscream that I've got. So I will probably pick up Thundercracker, and not because I particularly like the character, but because it completes what I hope is a combo. I need to double check all the stars and things before I do that. But that is that. I guess once I've got those 4 characters, I'm resigned to not having any of the others. I have, for the record, all of the common characters. I have almost all of the uncommon characters. I think I'm missing 6. I think I'm missing 6 of them. But if I pick up the 4 that I've just mentioned, then I'm only missing 2. Unfortunately, one of those 2 is Jazz. And then I only have a single rare character card. I have Cosmos, who is a character that I'm really I've got no interest really in Cosmos. So it's unfortunate that my only rare card is one of the characters that I don't really care for very much. And yeah, I will live with the fact that I don't have any of the others. So I guess this is probably my last video on collecting Transformers cards. I may at some point show some of my builds once, if I don't know if that's going to be of interest to anybody. But yeah, I don't know if this video has been of interest to anybody. It's been incredibly long, I know that much. I do apologise for that, but I had a huge amount of cards to get through. This was a good deal for me, and very exciting to pick up this many new cards, especially as I'm not into chasing rares and things like that. I just wanted to get a good bunch of cards and get most of the characters that I wanted, and I have achieved that. If you are still listening, watching by this point, then I do thank you very much for taking the effort and the time. Do feel free to leave comments, queries, suggestions, anything like that in the comments. I will do my best to get back to you, as I always do, and I will see you all again very soon. Until then, bye everybody. Bye bye.